Well, certainly appreciative of the opportunity to be here and given to us by our team. And like this team a lot, and I've earned the right to play in this game, obviously against a heck of an Ohio State team. But I like our group too, and we've had a good week of preparation and looking forward to getting the opportunity to play tomorrow.
We'll follow the same procedure. Please raise your hands again, and we will entertain questions from our junior journalists during this press conference as well. We'll open for any questions, please, for Coach Chryst. Go ahead, start row 2 on the right, please.
Joe Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch. Ohio State's been so dominating this year. At least you've seen them. How much does that help you that at least there's familiarity, there's no kind of mystique or aura about them because you've played them?
Yeah, I think that, obviously it hasn't been a lot of times, but, years. In fact, at the first Big Ten championship, we had played Michigan State and then saw them again. I think it helps your players understand, a little bit more about the things you can't see on film. I think of it as kind of how the game felt, feeling going up against them. And so I think there's certainly some things to be taken from. But, I also believe you're not replaying that game. That game happened. But I think your players can take some things away from them that can help them on both sides.
Coach, we'll introduce you to our junior journalists aspiring for their future, and we're going to take a couple of questions from our back row, please. Go ahead.
I'm Lauren from the Junior Journalism Program. What do your fans mean to you?
Our fans mean everything to us, and I bet you every coach would say that. And, you appreciate the loyalty, you appreciate the support that you get from them. I think it's real. It's real for our players. And so the fans, I think, are a great part of our university at Wisconsin and a great part of what makes college football special.
We'll stay in the back row.
I'm Eli Penquay, also from the Junior Journalism Program. From the beginning of the season and the middle of the season, did you expect to win back the Axe from Minnesota and make it to the Big Ten championship game?
I think that when we were, as you go on before the season, certainly those are motivations, those are goals, and yet, each week you kind of focus on that week, but certainly, our last game when we played Minnesota, that was it always is a big game, and this year certainly was that. And, I always think that, and we think as a team, that you don't worry about where you're going to end up at the end of the year. You worry about playing the season. And if you get the opportunity to earn the right to play more games, you're appreciative of that. And this group has done that.
We're going to stay in the back row again.
Hi, I'm Alexis. I'm from the Junior Journalist Program. What achievement are you looking forward in the Wisconsin players?
I'm sorry, what am I looking for?
In the Wisconsin players.
If I'm understanding it right, I'm looking forward to our players. We've had some that have played in this game, but I'm looking forward to them having this opportunity to play in the championship game and to put it out there and play as a team. But that's what I'm most looking forward to from our players.
Questions for Coach Chryst, please. Front row, to the right.
Paul, when you're going up against a team like Ohio State, who's now in this game for the third year in a row and has had such a successful season, what kind of pressure does it put on you and your program, also being in the Big Ten, to kind of keep pace with what the Buckeyes are doing right now?
Obviously it's impressive what they've done, and yet I think that it's all about, spend less energy on worrying about them, and you better put all your focus and energy on your team, and how can we become the best team that we can be, and that's obviously got a ton of respect for what they're doing, and it's not easy, and And I think that's what makes it impressive. But the focus, I believe, the focus has to be on, individually, you yourself as a player, as a coach, and then a program, knowing that you're competing against, everyone. But the focus and energy has to be on how do you become the best you? How do you become the best program? How do we become the best program we can be, team we can be?
Coach, we'll direct you to row 4 on the left.
Paul, you said, or Jeff Patrigas from the Journal-Sentinel. Paul, you've said a couple times now that you like this team, and since every team is different, can you just expand on what are some of the things that you have enjoyed about this team from start to finish?
Yeah, I like the fact that this team, and I think we've had great leadership, not just from our seniors. We've got great leadership, and I think that it's taken on their personality. I think that's one thing that I like about them. And I think they truly I think they love playing the game. I think they truly care about each other. And every day they come in with an energy and a spirit that's fun to be around, and I think is infectious.
Row 2.
Doug Lesmerises from Cleveland.com. Paul, we know how well Jack has played at quarterback for you guys this year, but we also know how important it is for every program to have backup quarterbacks you believe in, to have quarterbacks you're developing for the future. I'm just curious what you've seen from Graham Mertz this year, coming along, if you would need him ever, how ready would he be, and as you're trying to develop a young guy behind Jack at that position?
Yeah, I think that's, the developmental part of, for every program and for every coach. I think that's one of the fun parts of the job. And I've been impressed and appreciate what Graham has done. And, I think he has taken advantage of this year. He came early, so he was here in the spring. And so you got summer, fall camp, and do feel confident that, when he did play, we felt confident, and should that come up again, feel good about where he's at. And one of the things I love about him is that I think he's a guy that always he will work and continue and wants to, there'll never be a day where he's not trying to get better. But I think he's done a great job of kind of learning and maybe not getting as many snaps, right? A lot of the learning is in practice, but just being around and seeing. I liked what he's done this year.
Coach, we'll go to your right, row 3.
Cole Bartholomew, Wisconsin State Journal. Paul, I was wondering, just with both of you guys being Madison guys and having a lifetime in football, what's your relationship like with Greg Madison with Ohio State?
Yeah, I mean, Greg is a guy that I've been fortunate to know. Really, my whole family knows him, and utmost respect for him as a coach, and probably more importantly as a person. And I really mean that. And I've kind of followed him and had opportunities where never worked with him, but where you go up against him. But I think truly and I don't say this about a lot of them, but I think truly a great coach, a guy that loves the game and can coach it. And I think he cares about the game, but it's a ton of respect for him.
We'll stay in row 3 on the right.
Paul, Tom Oates, Wisconsin State Journal. A.J. Taylor declared out. What's he meant to the program, first of all, and what will you miss without having him available?
Yeah, A.J.'s meant so much to, and I kind of like how you asked it, not just to this team, but to the program. And always have admired the way that he's gone about every day. Unbelievable worker, leader on this team, cares about the guys, and I also think a heck of a football player. So, it was good to see him. He was at the facility today, but he's not with us here, and we've been spoiled because AJ hasn't missed games, and so that one we'll miss him. We'll miss him that way, but it was good seeing him today. But I think he's been a really important part of this team.
Go to the left, middle, on the back.
Paul, George Bilecki, NBC 15. How important has it been, with Jonathan Taylor struggling against Ohio State in his career, but to have the emergence of the jet sweep plays, the Wildcat, to kind of open up the run game over the past few weeks leading into this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, we felt this really all year, and yet, I think we've been doing a little bit better job with it. But, for us to be the best offense we can be, we need everyone. And, JT's carried the load for a lot of games, and yet, if we want to be the best offense that we can be and give ourselves a chance, we need everyone.
Questions for Coach Chryst? We've got a couple in the back left. Go ahead.
Marcus Hartman, Dayton Daily News. I have two questions. One, what has Danny Davis done for you this year? And just how do you approach recruiting Ohio?
Well, Danny's, not just this year, but since he's been here, he's had a big impact on our team, and a guy that loved being around. And, as far as our approach to Ohio, we've always, Joe Rudolph recruits Ohio and has done a great job there. And the players that we've gotten, many of them have had a big impact on our team, on our program.
Stay to the left, row 5, and then row 4.
Hey, Coach. Kyle Babcock, Sports Report Media. You're a Wisconsin guy. You've been at this championship a couple of times. I asked you at the Big Ten press conference early on in July, how special is this for you being a Wisconsin guy representing Wisconsin and being here, looking at that trophy and thinking, man, this is my state. This is what I grew up loving.
I think that obviously it means a ton to me to be here, representing Wisconsin. I've always felt really fortunate in all the jobs I've had, that I felt really lucky to be coaching, right? And I think there's a whole nother layer when it's, a place that not only did I go there and was part of the team, but my dad was there, my dad coached there. There's family to it, but obviously it means a lot, and I think what means the most is, I think with a lot of places, certainly the place is meaningful, but it's people that make it. And when you go to a place where you've got, there's a lot of layers, a lot of people that I think that adds to the depth and the meaning of something. But I've always been really fortunate, felt really fortunate in the place I've gone, but this is home. This is where I grew up, and so it obviously means a lot.
We're going to go to our junior journalists one more time.
Hi, I'm Varad from the Junior Journalist. What are your plans for beating the #1 team in the country and Chase Young?
Those are hard questions. It's our plans are Chase Young obviously had a huge impact on the first game that we played him. He's a great player, and we've got to do a better job against him. And it comes down to, you've got to play the game, and we get to play the game, and you've got to play good football, and you've got to take advantage of opportunities when they come their way. You've got to create some of those, but it comes down to obviously playing against a really good, talented, well-coached team, but we're excited for that opportunity.
Questions for Badgers coach Chryst. Go ahead, row 4 on the left.
I'm a senior reporter, Tim May from Letterman Row. Paul, as you look at Ohio State's defense, what just jumps out at you, especially since you've seen them live, past Chase Young? Because they got gashed a lot last year by big plays, and under Greg Madison and Jeff Hafley, they seem to have cleaned that up. But what just jumps out at you about their defense?
Well, I think what's impressive about their defense is one, they've got obviously very talented players, but they're playing all together. The front is connected with the backers and the secondary. They do a good job of adjusting to things and quickly, quick adjustments. And I think you're seeing them, when I talk about like well coached, you see a group that, that looks to me like they know exactly what they're doing, and they do enough things that cause you problems schematically, but it doesn't slow them down. They're certainly an attacking defense, and it's made up of a lot of really good players. You try to focus, I think it's the same thing with their offense. You try to focus on putting too much energy into one player, there's others that are going to beat you. And so I think it's obviously a defense that's playing really well. and we know that firsthand.
To the right, row 2.
Bill Rubino once again. If Ohio State wins tomorrow night, they will become the first team ever in the Big Ten to win 3 outright championships. How hard is that? Obviously, the championship game started this year. There have been a lot of shared championships, but how hard is it to do what they're attempting to do?
I think it's really hard to do it once, and to be able to do it, to repeat on that, I think it's really hard.
Do we have a follow?
Pretty
All right.
much it, isn't it? Like it's a hard thing to do.
It's a tough thing to do, indeed.
They don't just hand this out, right? You got to go earn it.
To the left, in the back.
Paul, Justin Fields is taking care of the football all year long, and obviously your defense prides themselves how aggressive they play, forcing turnovers. How tough of a test is that going against a quarterback that just seems to take so much care of the football and so smart with it?
Yeah, I think that's what makes them good. Makes them very good, right? They play the game the right way.
Front row on the left.
Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Paul, just seeing what Ryan Day has done in his first year as a coach. Obviously, you've gone up against him once, going up against him here. Just what do you see as a fellow head coach that you think is enabling him to have the kind of success he's having at Ohio State?
There's a lot in that question that I don't know, right? But I know from where I sit, I'm awfully impressed with it. And it could be in his first year, it could be in his 20th year. You know what that team is doing, and obviously led by him. I think it's really impressive what they're doing. And again, there's no doubt they're a talented team, but I think they're a very talented team that's really well coached. And it doesn't matter what year it is for him, the job that they all are doing it's impressive, and it's not easy to do.